Juan, welcome to the show. Welcome to Product Growth Stories. So happy to have you on and talk about creating this company of yours, Human Intelligence and Ask Aura. Let's just start there. What led you to start Human Intelligence, and what is the thesis of the application in the business?
Thanks for having me, Jean-Michel. I've been in business for about 25 years post-college, so I'm in my mid-50s. And most of my first half career was at large corporates, Procter & Gamble, Reebok, Pumas, and then I did technology with Siebel Systems. And that was an executive search consultant at the two largest search firms, Heidrick & Struggles and Korn Ferry. So lots of leadership, lots of team collaboration, management. I worked 15 years outside the US, a lot of Fortune 500. And I just saw the problem with most companies being that they couldn't understand their people and manage people and recruit well. And I was really good at all those things. So I wanted to build a software platform that could bring the concept of psychology and these tools called psychometrics, like personality tests, like DISC particularly, bring them what Grammarly did for grammar, which nobody understood that stuff, and thesaurus, and put it into workflows and made it simple. I wanted to bring all those tools that have always been for the high potential top 5% to the masses. And so we integrated an AI coach named Aura, that's what's called Ask Aura, into all platforms that already exist, Slack, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, email, Outlook, so that you could ask this little person, Aura, this AI coach, how do I work with Jean-Michel? And it'll answer. How do I manage this team? It'll answer. Why is there conflict? All the questions that everybody has every week at a large company, Orator. So that's what we built.
I'm just going off the top of my head. I'm sure you're going to help me fill it in, but there's like DISC, Enneagram, Strength Finders, Clifton. Man, there's so many.
All the ones that you have a report in a folder that you had a workshop that you loved. And at the end of the workshop that cost $20,000 for only like the haves, not for the have-nots, you ask, what do we do now? We're going to go back to work. I can't remember all this. And wait a second, the other 95% of the company are not in this workshop. So for all those reasons, those tools have fallen on their faces, not because they don't measure what they say they measure. They all measure what they say they do, but because they're not accessible at the time of need.
Exactly what happens. I remember clearly those like fun workshops offsite, went to Hawaii. We got a folder, colors.
They're great. They're so fun. You get the colors.
Nobody remembers 1 month later. And then even if you did have it right on your desk, you're not an expert in, okay, what do I actually do differently? Like, how do I change my own behavior to get better results out of the team?
Yes. How do I interpret this? Like, how do I write a new performance review for Jean-Michel, knowing this about him? That think, now Aura can rewrite the performance review. Now Aura can rewrite your email with one button push for your audience. Now, if you have a division of 1,000 employees and you guys are embarking on a really innovative go-to-market strategy, you want your 5 most innovative people. Do you think any company knows who their 5 most innovative people are out of 1,000-person division? No, but if you ask Aura, who are the 5 most innovative maverick thinkers who would be great for an innovation go-to-market strategy? And in 1,000 people, 20,000 pages, Aura answers in 2 seconds. Mark Stevens, Janet Johnson, and Pierre Franklin. Those are your 3 most innovative, like things that you could never do before, you could do in seconds.
I think this is how do I phrase this question? There's something about interesting technology where at the end of the day, in order for it to be effective, there's like the change management element. Like people have to do something differently. Otherwise, it doesn't have a big impact. And I'm just wondering, like, how do you get people get companies and organizations to really know how to use that? It's also, I guess it's the same problem with just handing everyone ChatGPT. You hope they're going to use it to do something useful.
So we are lucky because we've been around 10 years. And for this first 9 years, we were not an AI product. And it really was hard to get people to use any version of our products, even as slick as they were, as fun as they were. Usage was always low. And then in February of last year, I saw a little tool that nobody heard of called ChatGPT go from 10 million to 1 billion people from February to March. And when I saw that, and I realized that ChatGPT had 0 marketing, 0 salespeople, 0 training, and 0 change management, it was just so simple that you could, if you show somebody just typing in one question, you have now trained them. So we've made it easier. When a company launches ours, they say, take this test. It's going to be, we're going to launch Human Intelligence. Click this link and you'll take a 10-minute test. But to see what it's going to do, it's going to help with leadership, collaboration, engagement, conflict resolution. But look at this little 1-minute video. These are just some things you can do. How do I ask my boss for a raise? How do I stop conflict? How do I manage this team better? And so you just see 1 minute video of those things. That's the training. So everybody gets the email. You're going to open an email at work. And instead of people having to think about what do I write, we already have all the prompt engineering questions by category. What do you want to do today? Work with a colleague. And then within that, there's 10 questions. How do I get along with them? Where are we going to have conflict? What do you want to do today? Another one is, how do I lead my team? Leadership questions. So we have the questions written. So literally you just click a button, or it's in every language in the world and it's voice activated. So I just pull my car over. I just got promoted to run this team of 10 people at Best Buy. How do I motivate them?
Yeah, love it. I love it. And for this kind of product, I'm just thinking about soft improvements in general, like soft, I don't know the right word is, but it's not capital expenditure. It's not like a easy thing to measure the impact of, but obviously it's very powerful. And how do you make attempts to quantify the return on investment for businesses that use this? And how do you do that? Because I'm sure it's obviously like underperformance is an incredible, like a team mismatch, team mismanagement can be a huge drain, but it's very difficult to actually quantify it for us numberheads.
Yeah, whether we're quoting all the research that shows people, because our tool is the first tool that solves engagement. And you can literally ask for what are the 3 projects that will keep John Michelle most engaged? There's no tool in the world that can answer that question. There's nobody knows your psychology like our tool. And there's no ask or coach. It doesn't matter though that we say that employees that are engaged perform 20% better and we reduce attrition. I think all these, because it is soft skills, no HR person buys it. They're not gonna be able to convince the CFO. So the way I do it is really, look, you already invest millions of dollars in assessment tools that get used once and never again. So your ROI is 0 today. You do believe in them because you're investing in them. What if we have a platform where you can upload the ones you've invested in, and now through our platform, they get used 20 times a month, 240 times a year. So you're going from an investment in a product that you use once and never again to that same investment. Now you can get 240 uses, right? You are a cost center head of talent management. You are a cost center head of talent development, leadership development. They've been around 50 years. All the data that they've had for 50 years, they still can't go to their bosses at big companies and say, we've improved ROI and revenue this much. So it's just a known factor that if you believe in people, you got to invest in them. Here's the function that does. We just get a lot more ROI versus all the people people are busy. They're not going to use something 20 times a month unless it's adding value and then we also do surveys. Have you been able to work better with a colleague this month? We got 90% say yes. Is your relation with your boss better this month? 90% or so say yes. So we do have this qualitative survey-based numerical feedback, but I don't think people are buying for that. I think people just see it and they realize, oh my God, of course, who wouldn't want to ask these questions? Assuming the science is accurate, once you get past, that's a bigger hurdle than the ROI. A lot of people are like, I don't know. How do you know it's accurate? We do. It's a validated instrument for 48 years, but they don't know that. They don't know my company. Never heard of human intelligence. So for them, they're like, we've never heard of you. How can you really be accurate?
Speaking of starting from obscurity, and now you're not in that point anymore, but how are you like finding the right clients now, like for human intelligence, other than like buying Clifton's email list?
We have a budget. We want to go buy an applicant tracking system. We want to go buy an engagement survey. They're out there scouring for that. And they're looking, and SEO and SEM works for that because if they're searching for something, if they're not looking for what you've made and they can't even think that it exists, SEO, SEM doesn't work. Getting demos where they're wowed by the product, but they're not being tasked to look for it doesn't work. The only thing that works is someone who's already sold to that person calling and say, hey, I've sold you Workday. I'm not a new company. This is the future. I made you look like a hero of Workday. You got to trust me on this. And those are the only deals we're closing. We do demo in ad nauseum. They love it and they think it's the most transformational tool. But unless it's through an introduction or through somebody I know, we haven't closed anything. And so when I was a headhunter, I worked at Heidrick and Struggles and Korn Ferry. That's in McKinsey or BCG for consulting or Goldman Sachs for banking, right? So it's like saying Goldman Sachs for banking, right? I used to be a partner for 8 years at these 2 biggest firms, biggest in the world. Everyone always responded, whether it was a candidate or a client I was pitching. And I thought I was really good at what I did, but I thought it was easy to get clients because I was really good at what I did. And they liked me and they kept coming back for more business. Brand power. I went on my own to start Gonza Executive Search. My same 50 or 60 clients that had used me for 12 years were, Juan, I can't use you. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you weren't using Korn Ferry. You were using me. I was at Korn Ferry, but I did all the work. And they're like, yeah, I get that one, but I'm in HR and I don't want to get fired. And let's say it doesn't work out. It doesn't work out 40% of the time with Korn Ferry. However, I don't have that chance with you. If it doesn't work out with a small vendor that they've never heard of, I'll get fired. So there's this trust thing that if you're small and unknown and it's an enterprise software product that touches all 10,000 employees, if it goes wrong, a head of HR is really scared about that risk. So for this specific industry, enterprise, HR buyer, for a product that has never been sold before, you need trust. And that's been the hardest thing. So I've been using LinkedIn, outbound, people I know, Harvard alumni, Wharton alumni, any connection, Procter & Gamble alumni. I just try to find somebody who has some common thing with me or a common person. I have probably 50 people or advisors who make introductions. That's where I get most of my leads. So that it's very slow.
For some reason right now, well, there's not some reason. I think just because of the boom in AI, what I'm seeing, at least in the market, is there are so many more SaaS businesses getting created like per month right now. It's crazy. And I think this is accelerate that plus like AI content. I think it's really dropped the trust level. It takes a lot more before people are willing to like actually give you a moment.
Yeah, people say, Warren, how do I know that there's not going to be an AI product or a SaaS product like yours that comes out in 3 months? It's better. AI is changing so fast. I'm frozen. I kind of want to wait where the dust settles. That doesn't help. They see so much white noise. Like right now, I just did a whole email to counter it, but a lot of people are like, oh, we already have an AI coach. Like we have one of our biggest trials just told us they're not going to go with us because they already have one. And it sucks because if you go into ChatGPT and say, what's the difference between that AI coach and ours? We do 25 things. They do 2 things that we don't do. And the 2 things we don't do are like, who even cares? It's not even close. It's like literally we have a Tesla at skateboard price and that company's charging for a Tesla and only providing a skateboard. Yet because they're much more well-funded. And so their brand's everywhere. This large Fortune 500 couldn't believe that this guy Juan and his little startup called Human Intelligence had such a better product. So they didn't really even start the trial. They just went with one that they knew because of the money and the brand. Like it's kind of.
I'm curious, like, what are you the most excited about for Human Intelligence this year in 2025 as you start to build more traction and get into more businesses? Where do you see it going?
Yeah, so we had a huge 2-week product roadmap, kind of internal discussion and taking 6 months of all the different customer feedback. We're moving our version 1 that we launched in October, that by the end of the summer, it's going to be like a real version 2. It's just going to be really amazing. People already think we're transformational. Like it's going to be unbelievable. It's going to really help with adoption, usage, and just it's the product. I'm really proud of my team, what they've built. Like I never imagined that we could have built something so amazing. We're talking, people see this, I think it's like a IBM level quality product. We're like 12 people. And then the other thing is, I think we figured out the sales, like the way to sell and the way to trial. It was really hard to go from a demo that was exciting to somebody and then get them to use it. And we've tried lots of different things. I think we landed on the one that we're getting the best trials percent out of the demos, which once they trial, they always move forward. Except for this large one that was trialing another company that was well known, but worse than ours. So yeah, those 2 things, sales and the product. We also have Accenture. So we did sign a $5 million deal with Accenture, which is like life. Yeah, 80. Yeah. Then I have the money to hire salespeople and do marketing. And then we won't lose to some other company that's well known for the brand. We'll have it too. But then they had 100,000 person layoff. And of course, the 5 execs that signed our contract took packages and we were just sitting in the water. Our sailboat had no wind and we're just sitting there with nobody internally to roll it out. Here we have a contract with no teeth. So one thing we're really excited about is Accenture finally appointed another person, very senior, to start rolling it out over the next 12 months. So that will be great because it'll give us a huge cash infusion and a great case study. And once they use it, it might be impossible once they use it not to want to resell it to every customer in the world. And that would be like a $5 billion practice where we'd like 30% of it.
What advice would you give to other tech founders who are watching this to work better with their teams, considering your expertise?
Well, use Human Intelligence so you can understand them more quickly. Don't take 3 months to do norming, forming, storming. Use our tool anytime you onboard somebody so you can understand what kind of projects to give them to engage them best instead of just giving them what you think they need or what you want. It is an equal relationship and most leaders don't realize that. And to use our tool for better conflict resolution. So that's one thing, but that's probably obvious to your audience. 2, a little trick that works. Every week you got to do a one-on-one, whether they're in office or remote. 30 minutes, just touch base, not your weekly call for the whole team. You got to do that. But in addition to the Monday weekly call, not any other day, but on Monday with everybody, You do during the week, spread it out, one-on-ones with each person, 30 minutes. And the first question you should ask is what their mood meter is. And keep it unbounded. It could be work-related, personal, and then why. You'll be amazed. It just creates a framework of openness that you're really getting a pulse of where everybody is. And it's easy. You don't have to send out some formal engagement survey, pulse survey, and have to read and summarize all that stuff. Startups don't need that. Just be real, be human. Just look at the person in the eyes or a video and be like, hey, what's your mood meter this week? Why? And sometimes the conversation will be personal for the first 10 minutes. Usually you don't get to those moments or that insight. Like you don't even know that somebody's suffering for some reason. And maybe you can help them. Maybe it's just good to talk about it. And often it could be work related. You'll understand why they're having frustration. So what's your mood meter? It's the most simple way of really gauging where your people are. Thank you, Jean-Michel.